And then the question comes, who's going to check them? Well, I am. Now, I have filed complaints with the Judicial Qualifications Committee. And Brett, tell them about your situation with what you've done with the who's it that you said, Brett, that you went through before?
You mean the magistrate?
No, the agency that you called when you had an issue with these people.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The Inspector General. So the Inspector General of Florida has several branches, and the one that's applicable for child support is through the Department of Revenue. And so I reached out to that Inspector General. You don't really get to speak to the quote unquote Inspector General. You speak to, I guess, an associate, whatever. They take the call. I explain my situation. And then I guess she relayed that information to the Inspector General. And in my case, literally 4 hours later, I got a call from the local child support here in Manatee County. And essentially they just removed the action that they were taking against me at that time. So, that can be helpful. Obviously, you have to have a legitimate claim that or issue. So be careful with that. But that just goes to show you that those people, they can make things right if they want to, but you have to have a case against them and force them to do it. I was going to say too, Greg, just on what you were reading. My situation was based on the case law that you just read. We had a change in the time sharing, and because of the change in the time sharing, they had to recalculate child support. So we went before the magistrate, and he improperly calculated child support. But more importantly to what Greg just said, he sua sponte. In other words, the issue was not before the court to decide, referred me to make my payments for child support to the Department of Revenue, which is why I'm fighting them now. So they rewrote my marital settlement agreement, which is a violation of law. They sua sponte referred me to pay the Department of Revenue, which is a due process violation. And on top of that, when I filed a motion to vacate, just like the court order says that you should do if you have a disagreement with their order, they failed to address my complaint on the merits. There's like a what's that in Star Trek? Obi-Wan Kenobi that goes, these aren't the droids you're looking
Oh,
for.
Star Wars, yeah, the Jedi
Yeah,
mind trick stuff,
yeah,
yeah.
Jedi mind trick. Like, we're not even going to listen to it. So, but that goes to what you were just saying about they can't just pick up anything they want to. It has to be before the court in order for them to decide.
Well, I don't like to use the word can't. It would be improper for them to pick up something that is not properly before the court. Um,
Yeah, can I echo a couple of things Brett was saying?
yeah, go ahead.
Um, so in my case, I had to reach out to the Department of Revenue on a few things, and basically I was getting bounced around. I was trying to get some information. They were telling me, hey, give us a week, we'll get the information out to you. Long story short, none of that happened. So I went to the director of the Department of Revenue, Ian Coffin, and sent her an email explaining all of my frustration. I copied her boss. I got a call later that day from another analyst or somebody working in that department from the call center, some manager. So kind of what Brett is saying is that if you have issues, go to the top. Go to people that you believe can help you that are in leadership roles, and they will
Yeah,
make it happen.
right.
And be polite but belligerent.
And if you don't mind, Brent, can you put in that agency's information inside the chat room for the people who are a part of the group? And I don't even know what I did with my YouTube presence because I can't even see that shit now. But if anybody in the YouTube, if they're watching live, which I probably doubt everybody's probably on vacation at work. But to let everybody so that they can know, or you can just tell them if you have the contact number for Florida, just read it out so that
Well, it's not that easy. So just go to the Inspector General. I put it in there in the chat. So just
okay.
type in Inspector General. You will find the Inspector General for your state. And then if it works everywhere else like it works here in Florida, then you'll have an Inspector General for each specific department within the state. And so you got to go to that particular department's inspector general to file whatever complaint you have.
Cool. So as I'm scrolling through this thing, and you see my objections, and I highlighted this so I have it prepared for the number of times when I asked the Florida Supreme Court to potentially step in. I'll have all the objections in the transcripts. And by the way, what's interesting, if anybody watched my oral argument, attorneys from Austin Road Basketball, well, they had State Farm's attorneys, so it's their appellate attorneys, and these other people essentially went into the second DCA and intentionally misrepresented the contextual facts of this case and the actual facts, because as we all can see now, I never agreed to do anything. And their argument is, well, he took the check. Well, I was ordered to. And by the way, you can Google this for your own state, but, or not Google, well, we have more sophisticated means, but research it legally from your own state. Once Judge Peacock said what we all saw her say is, I'm ordering you to sign the mediation, the settlement agreement, and enforcement, what have you. Once she said that to me, and I understood it, to not follow her instructions would have subjected me to contempt. Because what she said was clear. And as you see, I did say I object to that. But right here, when she says, Mr. Doss, you're not going to argue with Mr. Rowe during my hearing. Do you understand? Which is pretty baffling. She's speaking to a grown man at the time about arguing with the opposing counsel. And she says, and I'm entering that in order that enforces it. And that includes the payment, the discharge of the government lien, and the release of the parties. Okay. She just essentially rewrote this. She even rewrote the stipulation and allowed him to put in a release that went totally contrary to what we discussed in the settlement, in the hearing, the mediation itself. Because, and by the way, I meant to pull this up for everybody so we see that part. But right here with Judge Huey, I talked about the mirror image rule. The stipulation does not match, as you can see, does not match the letter of relief. I get it, that's fine. You don't have to lecture me on the mirror image rule. I teach contract law. So Brett, that's what I was going to show you and MJ. Can you, I don't know if MJ is still with us. MJ, you see that where he said he teaches contract law?
Yeah, I'm here. I see that.
Okay, so if you teach contract law, we shouldn't have an issue then, should we?
Sure. Hey, professionalism is a thing of the past.
I see. I don't like everybody else. I probably am a glass half full guy. I want to remain that. If for no other reason, I did believe in the oath that I took come July 13th, 40 years ago, when I did say I do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I would bear true faith and allegiance to the same and obey the lawful orders of the President of the United States and the officers appointed above me in accordance to the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God, and I did it. And the other thing is, I have friends who come back in boxes, and I've done funeral details. If for no other reason, I will fight for everybody who ever put on a uniform for this country, because of the underlying issue that veterans were probably unknowingly duped out of probably untold amounts of money. And because we've had doctors that work for the Department of Veteran Affairs, like Dr. John Shim, who never informed the person being examined on behalf of the insurance company that he also worked for the Department of Veterans Affairs. And I don't know if there's any HIPAA violations or what have you. But what's very interesting is when you're also a disabled individual, the American Disabilities Act may apply in this as well as HIPAA, as we were saying before. As I was saying before, but I think it's just important to see that there's to give some context to what's going on or what went on in my case. And I'll be prepared come Monday to get it in at 10:30 via Zoom, and I doubt they'll let anybody in, but anybody who wants to witness the Zoom hearing firsthand, because I don't know if they're going to call it, it's public anyway, because if I was going there in person, anybody could go into these to a courtroom and watch the proceeding. So we'll just have to figure that part out. But anybody who might want to have my Zoom link for the hearing, you're more than welcome to it. I have nothing to hide. And again, for those who may have seen me in front of the city council or watch me in court, I'm not very bashful at all, and nor will I ever be. And by the way, if anybody wants to comment live, I think you have to press the. I don't even know how to do that shit, man. You hit the screen and I guess the activation button or something, and it supposedly allows you to ask a question. So if that's what you want to do, you know, more than free to do so. And I'm trying to find my I forgot how to do it. And Daily, by the way, people's not here. He's on vacation, enjoying himself. So it's a good day for him. He's enjoying, taking time to enjoy himself. But does anybody have any thoughts, questions? Hey, DB, I see you're on there. I'm gonna get out here pretty early because I do have so much work I had to continue to get done. And by the way, my initial brief on the merits is due in the 11th Circuit on the 25th now. My responsive brief for the Second District Court of Appeals is due on the 1st of July. And I think that's pretty much it right now for the cases that I have that are ongoing. And we'll see what happens on Monday with whatever Judge Huey will do. If he stays on the case, I'm expecting him to do what is honorable and disqualify himself for obvious reasons moving forward. DB, did you have anything you wanted to add to us? Anything you wanted to ask?
No, man, I think y'all touched on a lot of stuff that that was very informative for my situation. So I'm just analyzing it, and then I'm gonna get into some case law and statutory work later on.
And you are in what state?
South Cat.
Oh, South Kakalaki. Okay, that's pretty interesting.